as I mentioned, the objective is for you guys to walk out of here with an action plan and the knowledge how to implement it, right? Millions of people fall in love with the idea of owning a small business. Welcome again, Jessica. I started my first business, as I mentioned, in 2001. After the initial excitement wore off, I realized something. Running my small business really sucked. It was horrible. The first thing that sucked really badly about it was the fact that I was getting paid when I was getting paid to do one job, but in fact, I was in charge of 7 different things. I was in charge of attracting prospective new clients. I was in charge of converting them into paying customers. I was in charge of delivering the actual service, and I was in charge of responding to all the customer service requests. I was also in charge of hiring, training, firing, planning, doing books, doing payroll. I was in charge of it all, which leads me to the second reason why running my small business really sucked. And that was that I was always working. I was there day and night. I was there on weekends. And when I wasn't there, I couldn't think about anything else but my business. Which leads me to the third thing. And that was that I was always stressed out. Always. I was always worried. There was zero financial security. There was no paycheck. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, know all about that. So a few years into it, I realized that I had to find a better way or I'd just burn out and crash. But I wasn't ready to do that, so I looked around. And here's what I saw. There were a few more successful competitors. They were doing at least 10 times better than I did, but they weren't working 10 times harder. They weren't 10 times more experienced, and they definitely were not 10 times smarter. So what was the difference between what I was doing and what they were doing? While I was scrambling to find few new clients here and there, they had systems in place that generated all the new and repeat business that they could handle. Systems. Wow, so I thought to myself, I have to develop my own systems. But I had no idea how to go about that. In fact, we've tried so many things at that point. We had a website, we've done online marketing, we've done direct mail, we've done radio advertisement. We tried it all, but nothing really bit. We're getting very, very mediocre results. When I was analyzing the situation, I realized that while my competitors, more successful competitors, were doing things systematically, we just tried different things. We tried this, and we tried that, and we tried this, and we tried that, and that's why nothing worked. I knew that we had to create a system that would consistently generate the results. So I went on to do my research, how to put together a system. And it took a couple of years to build that. And today I just want to share with you the 8-step shortcut, how to do it within 90 days. What's a system? To be more specific, what's a marketing and sales system? It is a set of processes that's designed to do 3 things. Number 1, attract prospective clients. Number 2, convert prospective clients into paying customers. And number 3, retain them for life or for as long as possible to maximize the value that you deliver to them and the value that they deliver to you. So once I figured out what a system was, I went on and created and followed these steps. Step number 1, and by the way, if you do not have a workbook that we have on some of these chairs, raise your hands if you don't have a workbook. Let's make sure everyone has a workbook. Can you? Here, I'll deliver one. Here you go, John.
Thank you.
Make sure everyone has a workbook, because this is a workshop. This is not a seminar. I want to make sure that you walk away not just with knowledge, but some thoughts on paper, some actionable items. I want you to open to page 8. And I want you to do a little bit of work. By the way, does everyone have a pen? Does anyone need a pen? Everyone's got a pen. Oh, you need a pen. Here. There you go. Of course. In the business that I started in 2010, since 2010, I've talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of small business owners. When I talk to them about their objectives, here's what they usually tell me. Oh, I got to get debt free. I got to do this. I got to do that. And then I ask them, what are your business objectives? And here's how it usually goes. You know, I'm just going to try to make as much money as I can, doing whatever it is that I have to, working for as long as I got to. Madness. Absolute madness. I was one of those guys, by the way, for many years. So here's what I would love for you guys to do. Just take 2 minutes, and maybe the first thing that comes to mind. What is your one long-term objective? And when I talk about long-term objectives, let's take a distant horizon, 5 years. What gross revenue do you want to accomplish in your business? Or, if it's easier, what personal income do you want to have in 2018? Let's imagine it's December 31st, 2018. You're about to go out and party, celebrate New Year's. This year was awesome. What'd you make? Just take 2 minutes and then we'll resume. Next time we should have some music playing in this 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's too quiet. Jeopardy music, yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, let's take another 30 seconds and then we'll resume. So this is a learning experience for us too, as this is the first workshop we're running for SCORE, and we just realized that these 2 minutes are just too quiet, so next time we'll have Jeopardy music playing. By the way, anyone else feels that you're like in a room of like high court, and they're about to come in and start presiding? Like we were here yesterday for a practice run, and I came in here, I'm like, who's getting judged? Anyway, so why did I have you write down your long-term objective? Imagine this. Today, you're at the point A. And your long-term objective is that point B. That's where you want to go. When you get that system that will allow you to generate as much business as your business can handle, it's that bridge between 2 points. Until you have a point B, that bridge is going to nowhere. So you gotta know what it is that you're aiming to accomplish. That's why I think that setting your long-term objective is a great starting point. Toward the end of the workshop, if we'll have time, we'll get back to your intermediate objective, which is something that you want to accomplish by, let's say, December 31st, 2014, and your short-term objective, exactly what you're going to do in the next 90 days to get there. Step number 2, you got to know your numbers. For those of you that have been in business for a while, you probably know your numbers. For those of you that are less seasoned veterans, here's the numbers that you need to know. There are only 4 of them that you really, really got to know. There are many more, but the key ones are just 4. Number 1, you got to know what your client is worth to you. How much money are they going to spend with your business over the lifetime of their relationship with you? This is very important, and make sure to explain you just in a minute or so why it's so important to know how much each client is worth to you. If you go to page 13 and you know that number, please write it down. If you don't know that number, guesstimate. That number is crucial to what we're doing here today. Absolutely crucial. Number 2, how much business does each client generate for you in 1 year? That number is crucial as well. You gotta know how much money they're going to spend with you on an annual basis. Now, for some business, if you don't know, guesstimate. Guess.
It could be 5,000 or 205.
Wag it. You know what? Do you know what that means?
No. Guess it?
Wild ass guess.
Okay.
You don't know, but just guess it.
Okay.
And when you go back to your office tomorrow or whenever, just look in your QuickBooks or whatever accounting software you use. If you're keeping track of how much business you get from each client, you'll know. The third number is when you look at your long-term objective and you see how much money a typical client spends with you every year, you can figure out how many clients you need to get to your long-term objective. How simple is that? Let's say your long-term objective is to get your business to $1 million in gross revenue. And a typical client spends $1,000 per year at your establishment. Well, that's 1,000 clients a year that needs to be served. If you're open 250 days a year, it's just 4 clients per day. Can you figure out that number? All right, and here's the final number that we're going to look at today. Well, here. How much money do you need to allocate to acquiring new clients and retaining your existing business? Small Business Administration, SCORE, and a number of other business authorities estimate that a business that generates under $5 million in annual gross revenue should allocate between 7 and 8% of their projected gross revenue, how much money they're going to make sometime in the future, to their marketing budget. This is the money that you're spending to get more clients, to get to your objective, and to retain your existing clients. So if your business is projected to do $1 million in 2014, how much should you allocate to marketing? Between $6,000 and $7,000 a month. Why is that an important number to know? Quite simply, if you don't allocate that money to your marketing budget, guess who is not getting that $1 million in 2014? You simply under budgeted, and although you will still have some repeat business from existing clients, and you will have some new clients from referrals, but you're not going to hit that mark because you're under budgeting and thus suffocating your business. Got to make sure to appropriate a marketing budget accordingly. So if you can figure out that number, that'd be great. If you can't, just guesstimate it.
And that's a monthly expense or an annual expense?
When you do a budget, it's suggested to do so in annual fashion, but you can always break it down into monthly.
I thought you said you wanted 7 to 8% a month.
7 to 8% a year. So if you look at your annual revenue, let's say it's projected to be $1 million, allocate $70,000 to $80,000 to marketing budget.
But don't you think that it's also sensitive to the type of business you run? Because we're in a certain business. Construction is, modeling is a little challenging, to say the least.
Here's what I hear from, and if I'm going to ask every single one of you about different aspects of business, almost every single one of you. And when we go through this workshop, at the end of the workshop, many of you will walk away saying, yeah, but my business is different. But it's not. You're all in business of getting and serving new clients and repeat clients. That's your business. Your business, and I'm running a little bit ahead of you, has 6 functional areas. Not 10, not 5, 6. It's marketing to attract your new clients and to retain your existing clients. It's sales to convert them into paying clients, customers, or patients if you're in medicine. It's 7, that's service, construction, or whatever else you do, or product that you create. It's customer service. It's people or human resources. And it's management. Yes, sir?
Does that include salespeople, and salaries?
Nope, that's marketing budget alone.
No, it's not gonna really sales, just marketing.
That's correct. This answers the question that Sherry brought up, or the topic that you brought up before the workshop, saying that a lot of people in the plumbing business, when it comes to doing construction projects or large commercial projects, they're underbidding. They're beating themselves into the ground. That's what they're doing. And unless you are looking to get out of business, you don't want to compete with them. There's plenty of good business to go around as long as you provide quality service. You have to account for all of those things. All companies that make it, all companies that are profitable, they account for these things. They budget for marketing way ahead of time. They know what to expect in next year and year after that, and they budget accordingly, especially when it comes to marketing. No marketing, death to business, or struggling at best. All right. We are going to go to step 3. I have a funny slide there. This is where real work begins. Now, there's one thing that I should have mentioned earlier. Hour and a half is not long enough to go through everything and anything that you need to know about marketing. So the workbook that we've created has quite a bit more information. You're going to need to do some homework, and that's a given. So we'll go through what we can in the next hour or so, but through certain things we'll just jump over them. So you got to do your research. What kind of research do you have to do? You got to know your market, and that's number 1. If your business is to survive and prosper, you got to know your market. What do you need to know about your market? Well, how about everything? Why not know everything about your clients that you need to know as it relates to your business? You got to know their demographics, but that's simple. Where are they located geographically? What's their age range? What's their income range? What's their education level? Those things are really easy. Here's what most small businesses, and quite honestly large and mid-sized businesses, get wrong. It's the psychology of buying behavior. They don't understand that to market right, you have to understand how your customers buy. So we created a list of questions in the workbook that you should research. We have a simple way to research answers to those questions. Ask your existing clients. Pick up the phone, call them, and ask them these questions. Don't be embarrassed. If you're embarrassed, hire someone to do it for you. But ask them. They will tell you some fascinating stuff. Why did they buy your service? Why did they buy it from you? Why did they decide to abandon the previous seller? Why did they keep on coming back to you? Why did they like you? Ask them those things. How did you find out about me? Don't you want to know which media to spend money on to attract more people like them? If tomorrow I was out of business, how would you look for a replacement? Again, what media to use to market to people or companies just like them. You gotta know the psychology behind their buying decisions. Because if you don't know, here's what's gonna happen. Typical marketing approach. Here's an example. Financial planners. You talk to any financial planner and you ask them, what's your target market? Well, anyone who has money between the ages of 30 and 65, 68. Okay, really? Yeah. So imagine this market, and they're in Chicagoland, right? So the financial planner is in Chicagoland, and like everyone in Chicagoland between the ages of 30 and 68 who has some money. Imagine that this market is enormous. There are like 3 million people, or 4 million people, or 5 million people. Can you market to so many people? Absolutely not. It's like a huge haystack, absolutely enormous. And in that haystack, there are a couple hundred needles. Just really great customers that would love to buy your business if you ever were to talk to them. But the haystack is so huge, it will take you a long time, a lot of hard work, and a lot of money to find those 200 needles. Now, if you know their demographics better, and let's say you say, who is much more interested in talking about better financial planning today? They're probably in age group of 50 to 62. Let's say you are interested in working with higher net worth individuals. They have at least $250,000 in net investable assets. Let's say your office is located just like mine in Northbrook, Illinois, and they're located within 5-mile radius because I do not make house calls. I want them to come to me, and they're not going to drive 20 miles to see me. So now we're taking this huge haystack, and we're shrinking it. Every time we add a little bit more about their demographics, we're shrinking it. Once we know more about the way they buy, what's really important to them, how they find information about financial planners, we're shrinking it some more. The goal of knowing your market is to make the haystack as tiny as possible and to keep those 200 needles in there. Why? Because you'll find those needles faster, easier, and you'll spend a lot less money getting them. That's why you got to know everything you can find out about your customers' buying behavior. Call them. Now, here's another thing that you got to ask them. If you were to look for a replacement for me today, what would be your worries and concerns about hiring someone else? You got to know their objections. Why? Because the new customers will present those objections to you. You got to know their objections. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself because that goes into sales process, part of the marketing and sales system, but goes in there. Ask them what their worries are, what their concerns are, what their fears are, and here's what most small business owners, this is the one mistake that drives me absolutely crazy. You ask them, why do people do business with you? They say, my price is great and my service is great. That's not why. If that was the only thing, your customers would always buy the cheapest because service is okay everywhere, right? You got to find out what is the true differentiating point between you and the rest of the market, and there is something. By the way, when you ask them that question, why do you keep on doing business with me? Why do you like me? They'll tell you how you're different than others. They will definitely tell you. When you ask them, why did you abandon the previous provider? They'll tell you how you're different, what they like more about you. Gotta figure those things out. All the stuff is on pages 16 through 19. There's a bit of work that needs to go into this, and I do not expect you to know those answers. But I do hope that for the sake of your business, you pick up the phone and you call your clients. And if you're brand new in business, Jessica, and you don't have any customers yet, how do you find out? Jessica, remind me, what business are you in?
Home care.
Home care. Do you know anybody who uses home care? You probably do. Ask them. Same questions. Just ask them. They'll tell you. Why did they buy from their current provider? How did they choose them? Who did they have before, if they had someone before? Ask them. All right. I think we're ready to move on to step 4. craft your message. You know, before I'm going to tell you how to craft your message, I want you to watch like a 2-minute long video. It has a very powerful message. Why you gotta craft the right message.
What did you do to my saying?
I wrote the same, but in different words.
Better.
He was blind before, wasn't he? But by changing that message, his business was transformed. Just that. Just few words. If your business does not have the right message, people are unlikely to buy from you. I mean, you will get some results, but chances are they will be mediocre. There are a few examples in recent history where companies were catapulted, not just through hard work of their owners and employees, but through the right message. The two most famous examples that come to mind is Domino's, that launched in 1960, and they ran with that message for 33 years until a lawsuit prevented them from continuation. And that message went something like this: hot pizza delivered to you under 30 minutes or it's free. You know what sucked about Domino's back in 1960? Their pizzas. They were awful. The joke was, and I wasn't around in 1960, but I read all about it. The joke was that you couldn't tell the difference between the taste of the cardboard that it was delivered in and the pizza itself. I think they do like $4 billion worth of business every year. And they got catapulted into that stratosphere, not by virtue of quality of their product, but by virtue of their message. Federal Express, the guy's pretty smart, but other than being ridiculously smart, he used the right message. And you absolutely must have it there first thing in the morning or something along those lines. By the way, having that name, Federal Express, put a lot of trust into people's minds. It was absolutely subliminal. Federal Express. How do you not trust them? Sure, they'll get it there in the morning, first thing. So you gotta craft your message. Then that message has to resonate with your target market. It should tell them, and I did not coin this question, but a famous marketing consultant by name Dan Kennedy did. Why should I, your prospective customer, do business with you over every other available option, including the option of not doing anything? If you can answer that question, you will have your message. Messages usually are crafted and improved year after year. I do not expect you to craft a perfect message right now. But if you can answer that question the best you can in the next 2 minutes, it would be fantastic. It would give you that ground zero for making a terrific message. Something. Why should I, your prospective customer, do business with you over all other available options in your marketplace, including the option of not doing anything? It cannot be the price, and it cannot be my service is good. And here's why. If I ask your 10 direct competitors about their price and their service, they tell me their price is good and their service is good. That statement will not differentiate you from them at all. You have one ready, Mike?
Well,
Care to share yours with us?
this is, we're into the handicap accessible, and if you want to read it, here, I'll give it.
Is there a short statement?
It's a short, it's right there. We make gear. We understand that people who have disabilities.
You guys ready to hear Mike's differentiation statement? Yeah? We understand that a person who has disabilities would be much less handicapped in an accessible environment. Creating accessibility allows a freedom that reduces disabilities. I think that's pretty good. Yeah? It's pretty good. Does it tell them how you're different than the other people who are in your business?
It's the business that we do.
How are you different?
I don't know if there's anybody else really doing my business, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Call your clients. They'll tell you. I'm sure they've shopped around. I'm sure they talked to other people who provide similar service and product. Has to be. So one of the challenges, one of the reasons why you're here, one of the reasons why it is hard to consistently get more clients is that we live in a major metropolitan area. Some of you have dozens of competitors, others have hundreds, others have thousands, and if you're in restaurant business, you have tens of thousands of competitors. There are very, very, very many alternatives to your service. So differentiation statement has to be differentiate you from the rest. Now, after you create your differentiation statement, This is something that most marketing consultants and sales gurus do not talk about. That's irresistible offer. Sure, everyone heard about USP, unique selling proposition. I don't even want to call it that. Call it differentiation statement. But what's an irresistible offer? It's just that. It's something that you offer your prospective clients up front. So they would say, that's a no-brainer. Irresistible offer is something that carries high return on investment. Doesn't have to be the actual product or service that you deliver. Could be something that would allow your prospective client to sample your service or your product. Could be information, just information, a white paper, a report, access to video that would allow them to sample your product risk-free or your service risk-free. It would allow them to lower their guard if they like what they sample. Got to craft an irresistible offer. The irresistible offer should contain not just high return on investment proposition, but also what it is that you sell, if possible, how much it will cost. Depends on the format, not necessarily, but if possible. And what's in it for them, or what's in it for me, the famous radio station, WIFM, W-I-I-F-M, what's in it for me? Has to explain what's in it for them. I'll give you the example of our irresistible offer. Every prospect that we meet with, we promise them this. If they spend 2 hours with us, we'll do an assessment of their business, help them set clear objectives, outline the obstacles that they have, and give them at least 2 to 3 ideas that will help them generate, depending on the business, at least 2 new clients per month. For some companies, it's nothing. For other companies, it's huge. It could be like doubling their business. That's our irresistible offer, and it costs you nothing. This is our irresistible offer. This is how we get a chance to learn about you. They get the chance to learn about us and to see us in action, whether we're worth what we're proposing. Credibility doesn't hurt. Having testimonials, video, written if you do not have video, is also part of your irresistible offer. If it's possible to build in a testimonial, do so. In fact, put testimonials wherever you can. And once again, with current technology, if possible, do it in video. It is inexpensive and it carries huge return on investment. All right, let's move on to question.
Can I raise a counterpoint?
Of course.
I think that the traditional marketing is dying. We're all inundated every day with hundreds or thousands of messages promoting this or that or whatever, and we kind of tune out to that. Inbound and content marketing is where you give people information they need and want. There's 5 billion Google searches every day, people searching for information. And if you give them that information and it's even-handed, then you build a relationship with them, and then you begin to build trust. And then that leads to being able to do business with people. So I think that inbound and content marketing, there's a book by Marcus Sheridan. He's got a website, The Sales Line, and there's an ebook on there. I think you should get a look at it, but it's very interesting. 5 billion Google searches every day, people searching for information, and all you have to do is provide information that relates to them.
Right on, George. Let me ask you a question. What do you consider traditional marketing that's dying? What do you consider traditional marketing that's dying?
Traditional marketing, I consider it's when you're blasting out, sending out a message to, whether it be through radio, television, newspaper, any medium, where you're saying, look at me, or what you said earlier, why am I the best? And again, everybody's saying the same thing. And I don't think that people sold today, but they do want information they need. They want information that relates to them. And if you provide that information on an even-handed basis, then you can build rapport with them and trust.
I couldn't agree with you more, George. Thanks so much. All right. So now we're actually going to go into writing up your own system. As I mentioned earlier, a system is comprised of three elements, right? It's your client attraction, client conversion, or prospect attraction rather, converting them into paying clients, and client retention. How do you do that? Well, in client attraction, you have to figure out what media you're going to use to deliver your irresistible offer. Not your message, but your irresistible offer to prospective clients. How do you know which media to use? Well, if you've done your research, if you talk to your clients, that tell you. That tell you what media to use to deliver your irresistible offer to them. Now, I'm a big fan of direct mail. When I talk to people, 9 out of 10 small business owners tell me, are you crazy? Direct mail? That stuff is dead. Dead. Doesn't work. Why would you send anything via direct mail? Well, it always makes me smile because every 2 months, religiously, I get this envelope from #1 internet company in the world, Google, who sends me an offer so I would advertise on their #1 website in the world. Put it right into my mailbox. If they do this, do you think they figured something out? That this pays? That there is a very clear return on investment associated with this? So when you're setting up your client attraction system, do not discount old media. It works like crazy if done right. What do we have in this envelope? Irresistible offer. Here's a coupon. Give us a try. Why did they send it to me? Because I'm a small business owner. Why do they want to talk to small business owners? Because like 98% of businesses are small businesses. And most of revenue that Google gets comes from you and I. And they know that I'm not advertising with them. So they want me on board. They know my demographics, or my business's demographics. They know what will make me tick one day. And so every 2 months, without fail, every 2 months, they send this to me. Why do they do it every 2 months? Because one day I'll bite. Today I'm not ready. In 2012, when they were sending it to me, I wasn't ready. In 2011, when they were sending it to me, I wasn't ready. But right now, we're setting up social media and a few other things. Yeah, I know, we're a little late. And now we're ready. In August, we'll be redeeming this. So when you're setting up your client attraction system, do not discount old media. Talk to your clients. Ask them. Ask them what media do they consume. When you know what media that they consume, when you have your irresistible offer, you just got to set up a system that will consistently communicate with your prospective target with your target market. You have to identify your market, right? You know their demographics, you know where they live, or you know where their businesses are. You know who they are, you know how they buy, you know what irresistible offer will click. You know what message they'll respond to. And once again, do not confuse those two. They're different. There is your why I should do business with you, and then there is your give me $75, I'll give you $200 worth of advertisement. Very different, right? Forget to do one of these things, and you're wasting money. It's all in your workbook. I understand that I'm giving you a lot of information, so I do hope that you do your homework after. Here's another reason why you want to use multiple media. There's an old story I read or heard somewhere. A young father goes out deep sea fishing for the first time, takes his 2 young boys on the trip. He's a little concerned. They don't catch any fish, he's going to be really embarrassed. So he goes to the captain and he whispers, "Captain, can we make sure we catch some fish today?" And the captain says, "Yeah." "How can you be so sure?" "I got many hooks." It's like that. Some of your prospective clients will respond to direct mail, others will respond to Google, others will respond to Facebook. But no one media works best for any business. I hear this a lot. What should I do to attract more clients? A number of things. Do they use social media? You should be there. Do they have a mailbox? Probably be there. They search for you on Google? Should probably be there. As many marketing programs, as many media channels as you can use and do it well, use them. And here's how it goes. You select a number of different media to deliver your irresistible offer to your prospects. Let's say you set up 5 different things. Each media does just this. It just delivers your irresistible offer. The high ROI, return on investment offer. That's a no-brainer to a prospective client. Yeah, all right, that looks good. Unless you're Google, and if they don't really know who you are, they'd want to know more, right? What happens next? It's a process. Once you reach the right prospect with your right irresistible offer, they go to do what? They want to know more information. You better stand ready to provide them with that information. But here's what happens, and this is where a majority of small businesses fail. Even if they have great irresistible offer, even if they do get the inquiry, they fail to capture the information of the person who calls or sends the email or fills out the form online. Now, how many people are ready to buy the first time they reach out to you? How often do you buy the first time you reach out to business? Probably not many. So if you do not capture their information, likelihood that you will let 97% of those prospects go is sky high because they're not ready to buy at that moment. So you need to capture their information and make sure that you have a step-by-step communication strategy, how you will talk to them over next, let's say, at least 12 months. It really depends on your business, on what it is that you're selling. If you're not communicating with them, what's going to happen? Statistically, they will buy your service or your product within 12 months. It's also highly likely that they will not buy it from you because you stopped talking. They probably talk to someone else. I mean, there's a chance that they'll still buy your service, but if you're not talking to them consistently, you can pretty much forget it. So the system is a set of processes, and every process has a number of steps. So think through the steps that you will use to continue talking to your prospective clients. If you're opening a restaurant business, send them a coupon once a month. It costs 26, 28 cents, right? If they reached out to you to ask you if you have a gluten-free menu, I have no idea what kind of menu you're going to have, Jason, but let's say they call to ask. Capture their information. They're interested in eating at your establishment. They'll probably come in, and I have no idea how much total lifetime value of a customer is going to be in your restaurant, but for some restaurants, it could be many thousands of dollars. So sending them a 28-cent coupon once a month has an enormous ROI, just enormous, absolutely enormous. And that's applicable to just about any business. I almost don't care what business you're in. If you're an attorney, if you're a personal injury attorney, might be a little bit of a stretch, but if you're a business attorney, oh, you got to talk to them all the time. Let me give you one little known secret about the easiest way to communicate with your prospects and stay in touch with your existing clients. a printed on paper, put in an envelope, and delivered to mailbox newsletter. Every month without fail. Without fail. Why? Because when a newsletter is done right, it's entertaining, it's informational, could be fun to read, and people will remember who you are 3 months after they've done the first transaction, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, as long as you keep on talking to them. Now, I recognize that either none of us or most of us are not great writers. It's just none of you said that I'm in the writing field. There are companies that will write a great, entertaining newsletter. By the way, the ratio, it's a funny ratio that we know for great newsletters, 85% PBS and Comedy Central, 15% QVC. Don't make it 100% QVC, don't sell stuff to them. If you make it 85% information entertainment and 15% about your business, people will keep on reading your newsletter. There are companies that will create template newsletters that are awful. They cost nothing, and they're usually delivered via email. The open rate is 1 out of 10,000, and the moment it's open, it's like, another one. Delete. Spend a couple $100, maybe a little more than a couple $100. Spend a few $100 per month to make sure that you have a great custom newsletter that communicates with your prospective clients, because they weren't ready to buy when they called you, but you're staying in touch with them. Guess who they're going to call when they're ready to buy? They'll call you. And your existing clients. Why? You'll never give them a chance to forget you, because you'll be right there with your news every month, without a fail. Every 60 days, without a fail. Why? Because there's money to be made. And I want you guys to make money consistently. Every aspect of the system is a number of steps. Client attraction is just that. Irresistible offer delivered via media that your prospects, that your target market consumes, okay? And communication strategy after they reach out to you and inquire for more information. Client conversion, it's a sales process. Most of us hate to do sales, but sales is really easy. When you're talking to the right prospect, sales is nothing other than they ask you questions, you give them answers. If they hear solution to their problem, they buy. If they don't hear solution to their problem, they don't buy. Next. It's that simple. If you have a marketing system, you get enough prospects where you do not hang on to every prospective client, because you have enough of them coming in. So if they don't buy, you're not wasting time on them, and you're moving on to the next one. But the client conversion, that sales process is very important. And here's how you create a highly effective sales process. When you're talking to your existing clients and you ask them all those questions, you ask them what the worries and concerns and fears about doing business with companies such as yours are, right? That gives you a list of explicit and implicit objections to buying your service or product. You make a list of, let's say, top 5 or 10 objections that people commonly present to you. And you just write down how to address each one of those objections. You don't need to trick them into anything. You just need to give them straightforward answers that explain to them whether they should buy your service or product or not. It's that simple. That's what sales is all about. Sales is nothing but convincing someone of taking the right step. And the right step sometimes is to not buy your service because there's no good match. And hopefully more often than not, it's buy the service. Think about going to doctor's office. When they tell you, you got to take this drug or you got to exercise, what do you think they're doing? They're convincing you to make the right decision and do the right things. That's sales. When you're telling your kid to eat his cereal or do whatever, make the bed, that's sales. You're convincing them to take a step, do some sort of action. That's sales. And finally, client retention. It's just that. It's ongoing communication with your existing clients, making sure that they come back to buy more when the time is right. Once again, I'm going to bring back my company to give you an example of how we do all three things. There are a number of marketing programs that we have implemented to talk to right target market. We have a 19-point checklist of what a right prospect makes up for us. Here's a funny thing that we realized, that after making up that checklist, anytime we go outside of those parameters, we end up wasting time and not getting the business. Works like a clock. That's why it's so important to know your client's demographics and psychographics. When we talk to people, to our prospects, we find out those things about them, and we'll know within half hour whether they make a good prospect for us or not. You should do the same thing for your business. So for client attraction, we do a number of things. The easiest one is networking. We also do workshops. We also send out our newsletter to prospective clients who don't know us. But our newsletter carries a lot of information that's useful for their business. We're obviously a B2B company. So we send them a newsletter that gives them solutions to their problems. Thus, when they want to know more, they raise their hand and inquire for more information. And that's when the sales process begins. And the sales process, as I mentioned to you, we have the irresistible offer. We'll say, hey, here's this, spend 2 hours with us. We'll outline your objectives, we'll outline the obstacles, and we'll help you by giving you 2 to 3 strategies how to get at least a couple more clients consistently. Once again, for some businesses, it's nothing to get a couple more clients per month, but for others, it's a lot. So it really depends on your business situation. If you're high volume, low margin business, couple of clients, don't do anything. So we'll figure out how to add 10% to your new client acquisition. In our follow-up conversation, after we do that assessment, we know what the typical objections are, and we have the answers ready. We've done it a gazillion times. We know what they're going to ask. We know what the apprehensions are. We know what the fears are. And we have answers, including complete risk reversal. And I definitely advise you, if your business allows for risk reversal, for a guarantee, complete guarantee, definitely have a complete guarantee. To us, that means the following. If we've done the work and you don't love what we've done, get your money back. It's that simple. If your business allows for that kind of guarantee, have it, and here's why. If you're good at what you do, what are the chances that someone will actually ask for their money back? 2%. Statistically, it's 2%. 2 out of 100 clients you will service will ask you for money back. How many more clients do you think you're going to get by virtue of having a 100% risk-free guarantee? I don't know about your business, but a lot for mine. Because consultants, for most part, suck. And we're consultants. So we got to make sure that guarantee is there. Because otherwise, heck, I probably wouldn't buy my own service. So if your business allows to have that risk-free guarantee, definitely have it. And how do we retain our clients? The last piece of the puzzle of the system. Well, we have the newsletter, so we talk to them every 30 days. Within the first 12 months of delivering the service, we talk to our clients every 30 days via phone. Actually pick up the phone, say, how's it going? What's the progress? What are the results that you're getting? And when we see something that would be interesting for their business and we see it online, we'll email them the link and say, hey, John, check it out. That stuff should really work for you. So there are 3 media that we use to communicate with our existing clients at least every 30 days. That's it. Why? Because that's how we get repeat business. Why? Because that's how we get referral business. Could you use that in your business? bet for most of you the answer is yes. So, pages 27 to 36 of the worksheet, you can write out your step-by-step communication strategy for attracting new clients, converting them into paying customers, and retaining them for the long haul. I obviously don't want you to spend the time on that right now because we have like 10 minutes left. So I'm going to jump into the next step, and this is what I did. Develop and deploy. Pretend that you have everything on paper. You have your message, you have your irresistible offer, you know what media you're going to use, you know what tools you're going to use, website, letters, newsletters, whatever. What do you got to do now? 3 things. Create a calendar, a marketing calendar. Why do you need a marketing calendar? Because if you don't have one, you'll forget to do stuff. Put it on the calendar and stick to it. If you have a newsletter outgoing every month, make sure that you actually do it whatever day you select, first Friday of the month. Take care of it. Whatever marketing activities you do, make sure that they're on the calendar, unless they're perpetual, meaning you actually do them 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. Otherwise, put them on the calendar or you will forget. Other things will get in the way. Number 2, create your budget. Remember, 7 to 8% of your projected revenue, not your today's revenue, but how much you want to make. You have your system now, right? Now you want to make that $1 million in gross business, or if it's too low for you, 5 million or 10 million in gross business. Create a budget. By the way, one thing I forgot to tell you about budget. Depends on what study you read. It costs 4 to 7 times more to acquire a new client than to retain an existing one. So if you're allocating a total budget of $70,000 to acquiring and retaining clients, allocate $60,000 to acquiring new clients and $10,000 to retaining existing clients. And do not make one cardinal sin, which is not spend any money on retaining existing clients because they're already yours. Sure way to lose a lot of your client base. Spend some money on them. They deserve it. They'll give you more business. For most businesses, they'll give you more business than the new clients that are coming through the door. Spend some money on them. They're worth it. The last thing. Remember how I mentioned that there are 6 functional areas in any business? Unless you're a great web developer, designer, and copywriter, and copywriters are the ones that write copy for the website and letters and any other marketing tool that's used for delivering irresistible offer and other information about your business, don't do it yourself. Hire professionals. Why? Because number 1, you're busy. You're probably never going to get around to creating those things. Number 2, if you do it yourself, unless you're a designer, unless you have the skills, it's probably not going to look really good. I mean, yeah, you can buy a software to do your own business cards, but they look like crap. And your prospective clients are not going to take you seriously. So hire professionals. After all is said and done, and you have your system, and you develop your tools, you deploy them. How do you deploy them? You send them out there to get to your clients. You put the ad on Google. You put the ad in a letter and send it to prospective clients. Oh, to get this out, what do you need other than the letter? Bless you.
Thank you.
You need a list of prospective clients. If you know all of their demographics and you know their psychographics, you can build a letter and buy a list, right? If all you want are clients that are located within 10 miles of your office, and they're of certain age, in certain business, and whatever other selection criteria you might have based on the demographics, the list that you build, just go on Google and just type in list broker. You'll have 25 million results pop right up. There are a couple of great companies located here in Chicago. Consumer Base is one of them that we've used in the past. Very good, very reasonably priced. They're actually based in Evanston, that big black Chase building. Great company. You know, they'll give you the list. So you develop your tools, now you're deploying them, bringing that irresistible offer to your prospective clients and communicating with them on a consistent basis so they buy. Obviously, you have to decide how often you're communicating, but it could be once a month, could be once every couple of months, could be once a quarter. If you're not talking to your prospective clients, the ones that already reached out to you, or the ones that you really want to get, if you're not talking to them at least once a quarter, forget it. They don't remember you from 6 months ago. Might as well not spend the money initially. It will not make a dent in your top line and your revenue. So got to make sure that you will communicate with them consistently. So after you develop the tools and you deploy them, what's the second to last thing you got to do? Measure and improve. Why? Because when you have outflow of dollars that you're investing into marketing, and by the way, marketing, when done right, is investment. Why is it investment? Because you invest X and you expect to get X plus Y back. When done wrong, you break even, so you get your X back. And when done wrong, really wrong, you get X minus something, or you don't get anything back. Seen that? Done that a number of times. Brutal. How do you measure the ROI on your investment into marketing? Simplest thing in the world. I'm blown away by the fact that most businesses that do spend money on marketing still don't do that. Online, everything is trackable, so that's a given. You know exactly where that lead came from. Offline, they call your office. You ask them, hey, how'd you hear about us? And when you write down their information, because hopefully you are writing down the information of the people who made inquiries, when you write down that information, make sure that in your client relationship management software or whatever database you use to maintain the list of your prospects and clients, because I hope you're maintaining the list of your prospects and clients, have a field in there. It's a source. Like, where did they come from? When you tally them up and you see where clients are coming from, you can calculate the return on that investment. Spending $50,000 a year on newspaper advertisement, how's that going for you? I don't know. I had a client, a dentist, really great dentist, made a ton of money. When I met him for the first time to talk about his business, I asked him what he has done recently and in the past, and he said, you know what, for the last 2 years, I've done a direct mail campaign. I'm like, all right, what'd you do? He's like, well, we blanketed the neighborhood, you know, every family that had kids within 3 or 5 mile radius, I forget, a lot of people. I'm like, how'd you do? He's like, I'm not sure. I asked him to explain. He said, well, all right, so this lady sold me on this program where I spent $10,000 a month on direct mail, and she said I would get a lot of new patients because everyone in the neighborhood obviously needs a great dentist. So what we did was we mailed them postcards saying that I'm a great dentist and they need to come in for like discounted cleaning or something. How'd you do? I have no idea. I asked him, how long did you do that for? He said, 24 months. $10,000 a month? $10,000 a month. Nearly $250,000? Nearly $250,000. Let me ask you a question. If you give your banker $240,000, wouldn't you want to know what the return on that is? He's like, of course. Well, you just gave the direct mail company $240,000. What's the return? I don't know. It's insanity. You got to make sure that you're measuring the return on investment on every single program. And it's that simple to do. If it's online, you'll know exactly where you're getting the client from. If it's offline, ask them. It's the simplest thing. And once you ask them, and once you see the ROI, look for ways to improve it. Tweak your message once in a while. Put it on the calendar. Every 3 months, I'm going to revisit my message and see if we can improve it. Or if a brilliant idea comes to you while you're in the shower or wherever, it's like, we can change a couple of things around or use a different message that will resonate better with my target market. But make sure to put that activity on the calendar as well, because you do definitely want to make those improvements regularly. At least meet with your employees, your team, and discuss how can we make this better. Today we're making 170% return on investment on this program. Can we bump it up to 200? What can we do to improve this? Ask your clients. Hey, we're spending all this money on this channel. What do you think? Where can we find more people like you? Sometimes you'll get mind-blowing answers. They'll tell you exactly where to spend your marketing dollars, and they'll be spot on. That's it. Step 8. Repeat step number 7. Do it often. You'll do great. I am going to answer whatever questions you guys may have right now. One favor that I'm going to ask you on your way out, Megan is going to ask few questions about the workshop. I would love to get your feedback. Any questions? Ta-da. Everyone is overloaded with information. Nora.
Okay, I have one, in my business, it's kind of like I'm marketing negatively, okay? By that I mean that, okay.
Nora, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Can you remind all of us what is your business?
Okay. I am a retirement plan administrator and consultant, so I work with a lot of 401k plans, and they have to fill out a tax form every year. It's called a 5500 form. It goes to the IRS. Right away, you're dealing with the IRS, you know, people get a little bit touchy about that. The way that I market is I will look at a competitor's 5500 that they have filled out for a prospect, and I can see a lot of mistakes in it. So my thing is, hey, I can do it better, I can do it more correctly, but right away people can't. It's so negative. Oh my God, you have mistakes. You know, the IRS is going to get you. I mean, how can I turn that around
Easily.
and make it more positive?
Easily.
Okay.
Who is filling out those forms?
My competitors.
Okay. What is the cost to your client of your competitors making the mistake?
Well, see, that's the problem. They might get an audit, but they might slip through the cracks.
What's the cost of being audited and the mistake being discovered?
Oh.
Is it tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars? Depends on the size?
It probably at minimum 50,000, if not more.
Okay, good. How do your current clients find you?
You know, I've had a lot of success on LinkedIn. I've
Mm-hmm.
been hitting that
Okay.
hard lately.
Okay. So just networking online? Okay. Create a white paper that will address the fears of your prospective clients. Saying this is just an example, 5 things you must know about typical errors, or 5 typical errors that most Form 55-something-100 preparers make, and how to avoid them. If I am in charge of that aspect of my business, I'm definitely interested in whoever is doing that form not making any mistakes, because, pardon my French, my ass is on the line too, right? So create a white paper that would address that pain point, right? That they would want to know, like, what are the typical mistakes and how to avoid making them. You're definitely in information business, and your marketing should be all about information. As long as you can zero in on your target market, and you seem to be doing it very successfully on LinkedIn, right? So you know who they are. You can target them via direct mail, via social media, professional social media like LinkedIn. You can do videos like video blog, what's called vlog.
You know, I was just working
Right,
on one
right.
lately.
Just working on different things, like 2-3 minute segments where you'll tell them like, here's how to avoid one mistake, here's how to not screw up here, here's how to teach them. Now, here's the thing about good clients. They don't really want to do your job. They just want to make sure that you can do it for them. So if you give them the information that proves your credibility, then they'll buy from you. So teach them, and don't be afraid to teach them everything that you know, because once again, the right prospects don't care to do your job. In this workbook, there's probably like 70 or 80% of my knowledge on business development systems. I don't mind giving it away, because the right prospect doesn't care to do it for themselves. They'll just say, do it. And that's it. So for a lot of your businesses, it's about educating your consumer, whether it's business or private parties, and just making sure that they understand that you know what you're doing, and they'll give you the business. That was a great question, by the way. Thanks, Nora.
Oh, thank you.
Anybody else? Yeah, John?
No, I really liked, there was one slide that you had, it was,
May I interrupt you for a second? Sorry. About the slides. If you drop off if you give your business card to Megan on your way out, we will email you a video of this presentation so you can review it later on, and we'll email you all the slides. So, all right. Yeah, sorry. Thanks.
okay, so there was one slide that had like a map of 24 hours a day, 168 hours a week, and basically it's almost kind of simple, but it's detailed.
Mhm.
Because anytime you work on something for your business, and I noticed if you're following along, page 39, it has at the top hire professionals to do all this stuff. Now, if you're a business owner, a lot of times you'll be spending a lot of time developing all these. How do you, when you're developing a way to like your business model and what differentiates your company from your competitors, how do you stay focused in developing these items when you're developing it yourself and utilizing it to create that model that makes you stand out against your competitors?
Let me make sure I get your question clearly. You're asking how do you keep focused on all the things that you're doing and then do this as well?
Right.
Is that the question?
Yeah, it's taking these 6 portions
Mm-hmm.
and using that to develop your model or your
System.
your system.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you a question, John. Among those 6 functional areas of your business, where's your core strength?
I would say probably customer service.
Okay. Do you want to do marketing? Do you want to learn it? Do you want that to become your strength?
Yeah, that's
Good. Yeah, because marketing is that's the lifeline, right? Got to have it. Here's what we do in my business, and I cannot tell you that you should do it exactly the same way, but every morning we have a 30-minute huddle, a 30-minute meeting where we review objectives for the day. But Mondays, we have a special huddle. This is where we lay out the plan for the week. And first Monday, or actually first business day of any month, we actually lay out the plan for the entire month that correlates to our long-term and intermediate-term objectives. In that plan, we have our tasks broken down by functional areas. So we know that 40% of our time is allocated to marketing and sales. And we plan accordingly. We purposefully spend 40% of our time on marketing and sales. We also spend 40% of our time on core service, the consulting service that we deliver. And the rest of it is allocated to everything else. Why do we do that? Because I know if we start under budgeting the time required to do marketing and sales, our bottom line is going to suffer. If we under budget time on core service, we're going to start sucking really badly and we're going to start losing customers. So we need to allocate all the time. So every first of the month or every first business day of the month, we have our plan for the month. What it is that we're going to accomplish? And it's broken down by functional areas. Every Monday, we do the same thing for the week. And every day, we look at our weekly list of things to accomplish that week, and we decide what we're going to do that day. Not only do we do that, but all major tasks actually are put on the calendar for that day, and we allocate the number of hours we're going to work on that task. And when I don't finish something, I know that it just rolls over into the next day. Now, this system was developed through a lot of pain, because I've done so many things wrong in the last 12 years that I've owned a business. This system has been in place for less than a year, and I'm loving it. It keeps me accountable. I know that I'm spending 40% of my time on growing my business, on marketing and sales. I know that I'm spending 40% of my time focused on my clients. And I know that the other 20% goes towards everything else. Actually, the biggest portion of the 20% goes to training. We read a lot, we attend conferences, we watch videos online, everything that improves our skills on pretty much daily basis. Actually, I do make a point to read like 30 minutes a day at least. Do you have a question? Anybody else? That's a great question, by the way, John, totally. So just focus that time on what it is that you want to get really good at. Please. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name when you came in.
My name is Rekha.
Okay, hi.
Yeah.
What business you're in?
Software Services IT.
All right.
Yeah. Actually, I don't have a question, but I just wanted to share what works for me.
Please, thank you.
My company is actually 2 years old, IT software services company. When I started out in February 2011, I was just 2 months old company. I had the same thing, how to acquire or attract new clients. And I just read a lot of things, and I acquired one of the bigger client called Pantuit. You must have heard of their in Chile Park. They make huge storage racks and servers and stuff like that. I actually talked to somebody. I was referred by somebody. I talked to their manager, and we were so small. We were a 2 months old company, and this is what I asked them. What is your pain point if you have any work? They had actually the niche area where they didn't have somebody who could do the work, even though they're actually multi-million-dollar company. So, I offered them that we would do a smallest task, and if they actually like the work, they could actually give the work to us. But I told them I'm confident that we're going to get the work. If they're not happy, it's free to keep the work, and there's nothing.
Good for you.
I actually did the small task and became the preferred vendor for the biggest client. I was only 2 months old, and whoever in the IT industry know that Pantuit is a very big PANTUIT. You can look them up; they're a very huge client. And I became the preferred vendor. I was only 2 months old company, and once I realized that it works with a bigger company like that, I ran with it with so many of my clients, and it worked every time. I always go there and talk to them, and listening to the customer is the most important thing, even though they think they're unique, they're not, but we just have to give the attention, listen and listen and listen. And everything they say is something is very big for them. We just have to not putting them down like it's a small thing we can handle. Instead of that, give them more importance and listen to them. It worked for me. And then I always ask them, what is their main pain point? Because you can take the smallest work and then make it work, and that's how we build the credibility where they keep coming back to you. That's actually worked for me. And also whenever you have actually to turn them into the conversion, I usually actually listen to them, go home, and talk to them and see how much they spend. Like if they're doing the manual work, for example. So I tell them that if they do the software to solve their main pain point, how could actually they save on the, the spending the hours, or if they can cut down some of the work or things like that. That actually helps bringing it into how actually it's going to help them. And third point is to retain. I just did that actually this December. They were a transportation company, and I knew that they needed a HR payroll system apart from their invoicing, which we did. So I wanted actually work for the holidays time because I have the IT guys who are expensive. Also, I needed work to cover for those 3 months. So I actually asked them if they would sign up for the HR and payroll module, which I knew that they needed. They talked about. If they did that before the Christmas time, I told them that I would give them 10% off, and also I told them that I'm going to give them net report, like profit report, analysis report, which captures all their expenses, and it's a huge report. Analytical reports, business intelligence kind of report. So I told them that we're going to throw that report in for free, and also 10% off if they sign before Christmas, and they did. And we had the work.
That is a fantastic story of success. I want to give you a round of applause. I mean, just fantastic. Come on, guys. So you started your business 2 years ago.
Yes.
From scratch. Would you mind sharing with us where you're at now?
I have about I did the transportation software
Mm-hmm.
to start with, and got reference through from this client to another one. We completely did the auto transport, we call that. We built a product actually which is like automate complete operations of a trucking industry.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very We studied all their, the top transportation softwares, and we have done better than them. That's how we did it.
Okay.
We're not doing anything different. We study whoever, even if they're very big, the top of the line, the software, we just study them and how they did it and add more features and refine it. So you go and when I go there, I actually go tell them that we are doing it as a product now, implementing at the 3 clients right now. And we show this, we tell them, look at this Dr. Truck Stop is what they use, which is one of the top line. And there are a couple more. We show them actually say that look at their features and look at our features. You get exactly the same, but additional features and after cost.
Okay, but you started at 0 in 2011. How much are you projected to do in business this year in 2013?
We are doing a couple of $100,000.
Okay.
But this year I have actually budgeted for around $700,000 to $1 million.
All right. 2 years in business.
Yes, to be honest, I'm actually doing 70,000 per month per client, but I'm getting 1 or 2 clients, so I'm pretty sure I should be reached in the next 6 months.
I hope the information you learned here today will definitely help you to get more
That's
clients.
right. And also another thing I wanted to quickly add, the question John or somebody asked earlier, where you actually put all this, it's overwhelming when you have so many things. A lot of people also ask me, how do I do that? I allocate Mondays and Wednesdays are marketing days for me because I do a lot of things because there's a lot of technical stuff.
Interesting.
Sales guys can do it. So Mondays and Wednesdays are my marketing days. I have a list of all the, like you said, actually demographics of the list of all the trucking industry. Get them. I have a list of it by
Good for you.
city and everything. We put them. We are going to actually target these on every Monday and Wednesday. There is no change. And any clients they ask, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Friday. Even on the weekends, we are available for the existing clients to do the work. And also it actually makes it looks like for the existing clients, you're a busy person, not always available at their request. On Mondays and Wednesdays when they call, I'm busy, I'm actually at another place.
Fantastic story. Thank you so much for sharing it with us. John, while listening to her, I thought of something else. Here's what's also worth sharing. The way that we structure our days, I just explained that, but the way we store that information was we use Google Drive, so all of the documents are shared. We have a folder that's called Plans and Agendas, where all the plans and agendas go, so we have access to it from wherever. Phone, tablet, laptop, wherever you go, as long as there's internet access, it's there. So I cannot say, oh crap, I didn't have my list, so I didn't do something. And as far as scheduling tasks, it's just in Google Calendar. So we'll actually block like sales calls or doing this marketing activity from 10 till 2. Okay, so that way, it's all in one place, and there is no excuse. It's there. You have access. Like you can't say that you forgot. It's just there. All right. Hope that helps. Yeah. Please.
Does it make sense to hold back on some of your best benefits in your advertising and marketing stuff so that your competitors don't get a hold of it and talk about it in person as the last thing they hear, the best thing, so that's what they remember?
Let me ask you a question. Can you please remind me what business you're in?
We sell toner.
You sell toner. Would you say that it's a pretty commoditized business? Toners, toner. Right? How many of your competitors, if you really have an edge on them, how many of your competitors would actually take the time to improve to match what you do? Realistically speaking.
Big companies got a lot of money, and they got a lot of people. And
Are they
I'm
paying
sure
it?
they're looking at everybody's websites and checking out their competition. It's very competitive.
You'd be
So
surprised.
I do think that people, I've been in the industry 35 years, people are stealing it. I steal ideas from all my competitors. Why wouldn't they be doing it to me?
It's a great question to ask, but if you ever get a chance to interview their former employees, which is one of the business intelligence gathering strategies that big and some small savvy companies do, you'd be surprised to find out that you could be 1 out of 100 that actually does take time to do the research.
How do you get a hold of a former employee?
LinkedIn. Hey, you want a job? Let's talk. There is something like $30 billion business intelligence gathering industry that's really under the radar. But if you think about mega corporations and some smaller corporations, in fact, we're just hired to do some business intelligence gathering by an existing client. They do that like religiously. They want to know what's going on with their competitors, what strategies they're using, what pricing models they're using. I mean, if you spend the money, you can get a lot of information, but the easiest source are former employees.
Just advertise for a job and then talk to them?
You don't need to advertise. Just reach out to them on LinkedIn. And you never know. You might find a great employee.
Actually, read about something, sorry to interrupt,
Mhm.
but I read a lot of business magazines, like for example, the Inc. magazine.
3 months ago.
Recently,
Mhm.
article, this guy goes to like Talbot's store.
Talbot stores,
There was an
absolutely.
example
Yep.
He talked about how he collect the information, even though he feels guilty
Mhm.
about doing those kind of things, and he goes to his competitor, whoever has, assigned the work to him, and then gives the inside information, similar to what
Yep.
I think he's talking about.
Yep, I remember that article very well. Read it May 1st on my flight to Orlando to a conference. Yeah, it's a great article.
To add to that, actually, reading those business magazines gives me a lot of ideas.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think it's a good magazine.
Yeah, it is. Success Magazine, I know the publisher of that magazine, fantastic magazine. Few blogs out there that are really good. I'll be more than happy to share my resource with you if you want to drop off a business card. But business intelligence gathering, if you're concerned about what your competitors might be stealing from you, find out. But chances are, your industry is so enormously large. Putting out your best benefits will probably, the benefit of putting them out is probably going to exceed the cost of competitors, few competitors picking up on that by so much. To me, it would be a no-brainer. I give away all the information to my prospects for the very reason that, once again, the people who really want to buy, the people who are in the market, they'll buy anyway. And competitors, most of the time, do not pay attention. Now, granted, we're a very small company, and in consulting world, there are almost no medium-sized companies. It's either top 4 or bottom rest. So I'm not concerned if my competitors are going to start picking up on my strategies and what we do, because God bless them, they'll do a better job for others. But the market is so large. It's almost like, who cares? I hope I answered your question. Anybody else? All right. I'm really happy that you guys all came here. I hope I gave you a lot of information and an action plan. Toward the end, or at the very end of the workbook, there is an action plan, step by step, that kind of outlines what we went through. It's like last 3 pages. Here's one way. I just want to leave you with this thought. Here's one way to ensure that you wasted the time. Do nothing with what you learned today. Walk away filled with information, throw it in a drawer or put it on a shelf, and never touch it again. This is one way you will guarantee that you just wasted 2 hours of your time. One very special way to guarantee. There is an author by the name of Jay Abraham. I'm sure some of you heard of him. He did a number of workshops in Great Britain. It was very expensive workshops, something like $25,000. Was all weekend long, 3 days, And part of the deal, you would get a pallet of his books and a number of other books. And the value of those books was like $500. And they did a test 6 months after they did workshop, and they ran the test for a year. They searched on Google and not Google. They searched on Google, eBay, and somewhere else for those books for sale. They found half of those pallets unopened for sale within 18 months of the workshop. Never opened. $25,000 investment into the workshop, never opened a single book. Someone I know very well works for consulting industry, large consulting industry. They go out, they consult Fortune 100 companies. I networked with those guys. High-rolling MBAs, sure, very smart people. I asked them, what's the implementation rate of the strategies that you provide to your clients, Fortune 100 companies? They said 2%. I said, that's insane. They spend millions of dollars on you and they implement 2% of your stuff. They said, oh, no. They don't implement 2%. 2% of our clients implement anything. How about that? Make sure that you get good ROI on your investment of time here. So, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks.